It's a little better. There's some issues with this that I think could be adjusted, but as you can see, it's doing pretty much what I want it to do. Let's also look, let's stop this, let's open up our graph editor and select the ball. You have to select the object to have the graphs, to have the actual curves show up. And let's look at the translate X, and that's the forward motion that we put into it. Now if you look here, you can see there's some inconsistencies with this too, so I can go in there and I can adjust. I can adjust by moving, and if I press shift I can move the position of the object according to how the curve looks. So now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a smooth looking curve so that it's consistently moving forward, which you want it to do. And if you do this, like so. Sometimes it's not really doing what I want to do. I have kind of a touchy mouse here, so you have to bear with me with some of this, with some of these jerky motions that I seem to be doing here. There we go. And I'm just adjusting my. Now you want to press the shift button so whatever you're moving, it's moving in one direction. I don't want to move it in time. I just want to move the value of it, like so. And we've got something like that. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's close this down and look about what we're doing here. Boom, boom. Okay, so that's our tennis ball, and that's looking pretty good. I'm still a little concerned about this bounce here, but I think it's working okay for now. Let's move to the bowling ball. Now the bowling ball is going to react, of course, it's going to react differently than the tennis ball. Now, if you remember what Galileo did when he threw the different sized balls off of the it was the Tower of Pisa, and he realized that gravity has the same effect on various objects, and size didn't really make a difference. Well, you know, a feather, of course, would go down slower than a bowling ball, but it's a whole different substance, and there's a lot of different things going on with the feather than a bowling ball that'll keep it from hitting the ground at the same time. But generally, a bowling ball and a tennis ball are kind of the same. Gravity is going to react to them, is going to have the same force on them. So I'm going to start at frame 1, and I'm going to keyframe it, and the bowling ball is going to hit the ground pretty much at the same time as the tennis ball, maybe a frame before. And I'm going to move it forward, and I'm going to move it down like so, and keyframe it. Okay. In fact, I'm going to make it 2 frames before. Okay, and then So the bowling ball is not as flexible and it's heavier, so it's not going to bounce as high as the tennis ball. And it's actually, let's just make it go 4 frames. I'm going to have it go a little forward, just a little bit up, keyframe it, and then I'm going to have it come down in 4 frames. It's going to hit the ground in 4 frames, come a little forward. Let's go up in 2 frames, a little forward in 2 frames. Let's go down in 1, forward in 1. Let's go up again a little bit, forward a little bit, down in 1, and forward keyframe, just slightly up. Let's move it forward, hit the ground down like so, and I'm just going to have it roll for a little bit like that. Okay, now let's just take a look at this, and I'm going to make the tennis ball disappear for just a little bit. And give it its own layer. And make it invisible so we don't have to look at it. We'll just look at the bowling ball here. And let's just look at this animation. Okay, it's doing the same thing that the tennis ball was doing. So let's select the ball. Let's open up the graph editor and take a look at what's going on. So first of all, I want to do is I want to grab that first frame, and I'm going to, that first keyframe, I'm going to make that flat. And then I'm also going to make the other ones flat as well. And what that'll do is that'll give it a little bit of hesitation on the top. Now these other ones don't need to be flat as much. I'm also going to go to the Translate X, and I'm going to adjust these just a little bit so it's giving more of a smoother curve. You can see how the curve is not really consistent. Let's go to this one and let's make that flat as well, so it'll come to a little ease out. I'm just adjusting my curve here and make that spline. And what we're doing is we're having a little bit of a, it's starting, the forward momentum starts out pretty forceful and then eases out to a stop. And I can adjust this a little more accurately later. So there we go. So now let's take a look at the bowling ball and see how that action is working. Okay, well, it's not perfect, but it's okay, pretty good. I can go in and I can adjust some of this a little bit later, but for now I think that this is pretty good and I'm happy with it. Now what I want to do is I want to make a play blast, so I'm going to make my tennis ball visible, and I'm going to adjust my scene, my camera angle, so I can get a good render of the animation. And that's pretty good. And it's going to be 80 frames. So when I want to make a play blast, I'm going to right mouse into the timeline, go to play blast option box. and I want the format to be AVI. I'm going to do it from the window. Let's make the scale 1, so it's going to be the same size as my my window here. And my encoding, I'm going to make it MS CRAM. That will give me a pretty good image, which is not a huge file. Frame padding's fine, and I want to save the file. Let's call this Bouncing Ball 1, and I'm going to save it to my desktop. And save it. And then I just go Play Blast. Great. And that just made a Play Blast here. Let's take a look. Let's make another one, and let's change the encoding a little bit. Let's call MSRLE. I'm going to call this Bouncing Ball 2. Let's find it. Where are we? Let's play save. And let's see if that makes it a little bit better. Oh, that's even worse. So let's not do that one. Let's try one more here. And let's go to let's try none. And cancel. Let's go Play Blast, none. And I want to browse it. Let's call it Bouncing Ball 3. And let's save that. And this is going to be a big file, but it's going to be the best quality. And you can tell that it's moving a little slower. And let's just find out what it does here. There's no compression on this one, so it's going to have somewhat better quality, but a larger file size. And that's pretty big. That's actually not moving the way I want it to move. And if we go here to my desktop, and let's just look at those bouncing balls. That was the one we just made, and that one is 136 megabytes. The Bouncing Ball 2 is 202 kilobytes. That's very tiny. Let's get rid of that one. We don't want that one. And the one with the CRAM, 663 kilobytes. That's still pretty small, but it has some decent quality to it. Let's try one more. And let's go to TSCC. That's a good compression for YouTube and things like that. And let's just make this Bouncing Ball 4. Save it. And I think that one's going to work probably pretty good for us. There we go. And that has an accurate representation. Let's just see what the size of this is. Bouncing Ball 4, where are we? There we go. And that's 315 kilobytes, and that's a pretty good size. And that's the one that's going to be sent out. So thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, you can contact me, and I will answer them for you. Hopefully this helped out. Thank you very much.